This week on Fat Guy Squared, how anxiety gives us anxiety.
Balls.
Fat Guy Squared.
Wait, you're offended? Go fuck yourself. Listen to something else. For those of you who want to be entertained, here's the podcast.
Join us as our adventurers embark on this epic quest of not making each other sick because we're flatulent as fuck today.
I gotta tell you, the whole time I was listening to that, I feel like that should be playing in the background when I'm going through the grocery store.
I feel like I should play this. I'm gonna play this as a shit. This. I'm gonna play it in the background, going, "Damn you! Come out!"
Wait. Lord of the Rings. You shall not pass!
No, you shall pass. You shall pass.
God, where are we? What are we doing? Ooh, M&M's.
Folks, it's Fat Guy Squared. And if you notice the new epic sound, it's because fuck you, copyright infringement laws.
Yeah, those guys are kind of, these people, there's no, like, they're not, like, labeled, you know?
Yeah, they're not labels, okay? Fuck you, labels.
So we're okay with this music.
Yeah, motherfucker. So,
You should have done the sample. Surprise, motherfucker.
you know what? I didn't even think to do it.
You're slacking in
Let's
your old age.
rewind it. Oh, you know what? I turned it down. Let's try that again. I got a real red wagon. I don't care. That's great. Great.
Googly moogly.
Anyway, this episode, folks, we're going to be starting with anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
Nathan had anxiety
I always have anxiety.
because Nathan is anxious. You like the way I do that every time? I emphasize the word, and I make... See, Nathan and I are two very different people in one very specific aspect. He is crazily anxious about everything, and I am not. Anxiety, believe it or not, runs in my family. My wife, most of my kids have it. I don't understand it. I have a basic belief structure that I go by, and it tends to relieve my stress.
You don't care.
No, well, that's just it. I have zero feelings, and I know that comes across as
Wow.
as wrong.
Psychopathish.
Well, hey, it works. But, I mean, you know, I feel for the little kid who falls off his bike, you know, and, hey, Dad, can you go play baseball? I can't because I'm incontinent, you know, that kind of thing.
Yep.
I feel for those kids. But I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, my anxiety, I got to tell you, when I was a kid, I didn't have anxiety.
Yeah, you did. You just didn't realize it.
I think I didn't have it until, well, I didn't notice it until my high school career became the most horrible experience of my life.
I honestly think, and as an outside looking in, and I don't discount your mom at all, but that is something that you learn as a child, and it just stays with you, kind of thing. It's a part of you as a person, but it's also something that you see. Your father is extraordinarily anxious at times. I'm sure your mother was. You just never really noticed it. I mean, it is what it is. Anxiety sucks. It sucks to have. I mean, truly, it's just not a pleasant feeling from what I can see that my wife has and my kids have. And, you know, you as well. I bust your balls, obviously, but honestly, I don't understand it, nor do I feel it's a necessary thing. But, I mean, When you are anxious, I mean, is it about everything or is it about certain things?
So that's the thing. Like I didn't realize it until it's so weird. I'm gonna dabble on a line. I have to walk through carefully.
If you're not comfortable, don't talk
No.
about it. Really.
So this past Sunday we were celebrating Dad's birthday,
Yep.
and I realized when I got to the restaurant, we went to Ichigo Ichi.
I don't know what that is.
It's kind of like a hibachi sushi joint.
Oh, I got you.
And it was me, my dad, my girlfriend, my sister, and my brother-in-law.
All right.
Okay? And I was having wicked bad anxiety. And I realized I have anxiety in this particular situation for two reasons. One, the restaurant. Okay? Even though I've eaten there before, I get anxiety because I can't control the situation with the food.
It also comes down to the driving as well. You do that with cars as well.
Yeah, I do. I used to think it was because I get sick while other people are driving, and I've started to realize that it's not that I get sick while other people are driving. I get sick when my anxiety kicks in.
Now, what about like airplanes and whatnot? You were just on a plane. I mean, did you get anxious on there?
Oh, I popped Zofran, and I was taking Ativan. I was numb.
See, I don't like planes because I don't like not being in control, but I don't get anxious about it.
But this birthday, I realized I had anxiety because of my sister.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
So I said to my sister, I was like, I have anxiety because of you. And she was like, what? I was like, no, I'm not because of you. I have anxiety seeing you. And she's like, why do you have anxiety seeing me? And I realized that I talked about this in the beginning episodes. I think it was Nate's Truth, where there was a time period growing up where I didn't spend a lot of time with my sister. There was like a 7-year time period where we didn't talk.
Well, she's also like 15 years older than you.
13 years.
Oh,
but
okay.
yes. But yeah, there was a difference, but we didn't talk because there was an issue with the family.
Oh, I got you.
Okay, there was and that's where I'm saying I'm not going to go into detail on that. But there was an issue, and we didn't talk, and the issue was not in my control. I couldn't have controlled it. I was too young to have caused it. I may have startled certain things, but the end verdict was that we didn't talk.
You're just an asshole. Deal with it.
When I was a kid, I was a punk. I was a little shit, and I caused issues. But the problem here with this situation is we didn't talk for so long, and when I got my sister back, I told her this last night, actually. I was texting her about it. I was like, I've been trying to figure out the whole anxiety with you. And I was like, I talked it over with Amber, and I think it's because I'm scared I'm going to lose you again. And I don't want that. And she was like, well, this is what she said. She goes, hate to tell you, you fucking stuck with me. and that's awesome. But when you go through things, like, I get wicked anxious at my job.
Why, though? I don't understand.
In the line of work I'm in, which, as people know, it's sales. I control the situation from beginning to end with the customer, and when that happens, I have zero anxiety. I'm running the show.
All right.
I'm the ringleader. Then every once in a while, the customer twists something.
Like you get somebody like me who pays attention to the little minuscule things that get said and then twists it on you.
It twists it, and it throws it a wrench into what my normal... not that they're saying is wrong.
So you're used to doing something on 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yes,
5, green, blue, red.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. So, but then you got a person that goes blue, red, green, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and fucks you all up.
It completely just... and you can see it when it happens. If you're around me, you can see it because my face turns bright red.
Can you recoup yourself, though? Can you figure it out and make it work again, or no?
So what happens is when that instant happens, and my father, he doesn't get it, 'cause I haven't explained it to him. He just doesn't understand anxiety like yourself. You try to, but you can't understand it from a person having it.
But your father has anxiety as well, whether he understands it or not. From an outside looking in, your old man is crazy anxious.
Yeah, but he doesn't understand that. He doesn't think he has it.
Wow, okay.
So it's just because he's, like telling a guy from the 50s, hey, you got ADD. He's going to be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, my
Colors.
father
What?
beat the ADD out of me.
Telling your old man he's got ADD. No, I do not. What? Ooh, that's pretty. What?
Exactly. So when that customer situation happens, my face turns bright red, and within about a 30-second time period, I'll lose sight of what I'm doing to the point where I realize I have to escape the situation. I'm going to throw up right here in front of the customer.
Well, I mean, that's not anxiety. That's something completely different. I mean, you're just talking to somebody.
Yeah, but it shuts me down. So I'll look at the customer and go, oh, you know what? Let me just check something in the back room. Even though I don't have to really check something, okay? I'll look at my phone, I'll grab my phone, or I'll look at the computer and go, I need to look at something. Give me 1 minute. I'll go in the back room, and you'll see me, and I'm just like,
Now, why are you? And I'm asking in an honest to goodness way. I don't mean to be a dick if it comes across that way. But why are you in a field that I know you're good at it? I mean, I've watched you do it. And you're a pro. You're very much a pro. But why are you in a field that you get that way? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
why
would
wouldn't
you
I
stay
just
there?
do something else?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you just change your vocation or whatever the case is? Go do something like, I mean, as you said in the past, you do cell phone stuff like that.
Yeah.
You used to do jewelry.
Yeah.
Were you the same way with the jewelry?
Yeah.
You were. So regardless of what you do in terms of selling,
It was funny. With jewelry, it was a little different. Jewelry, say you came in and you're looking at a $30,000 ring. Okay?
fuck you. That's what I would say.
All right, and I knock it down.
To 28,000.
No, I knock it down to 20,000.
Oh my God.
Okay, no one's ever going to do that. But say I knocked it down to 20,000.
All right.
Okay, and you said no. I'm not. That's still not enough. Even though that's an extreme discount.
$18,000.
Yep.
Yeah. No. Fuck you.
All right. When they say no, I'm all set. Because my brain can't comprehend that they're turning down that crazy of a deal.
Yeah, but
I
I mean,
shut
it's
down.
Still, it's still fucking $20,000.
I still can't wrap my head around it, and I shut down. So the problem is I found my trade, I found my niche, something I'm phenomenal at.
Yeah, but you haven't taken the time to look at other things to see what you're like. I know for a fact that you would be phenomenal at other types of jobs that involve selling, but without as much of an emphasis on the selling side of it. But you haven't gone that route.
I have all right. So it seems like any time I look at something outside of sales, I'm taking a $20,000, $30,000 pay cut.
I get it, but that's initial. I mean, you gotta understand. Any time that you try to leave a field. Now, I've been trying for the lifetime for the past couple of years. I've been trying to go to different fields from the job that I do, and I would be taking about a $40,000 pay cut, leaving what I'm doing. I mean, I'd be taking a huge, and I can't do it. So, I mean, but we're both in situations, and other people who are in these situations, they understand what we're talking about. If you've done something, a vocation for years, it doesn't matter what it is, you're making the higher end of that pay structure, whatever it is. And, in his situation, he gets paid more based on sales, but he's still in the higher end of that echelon. So if you try to change your vocation to something completely different, you're going to start at the beginning again. I mean, it just happens. Or if not at the beginning, in the middle.
Yeah. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
With the whole thing with my line of work is, so I know you don't, it doesn't bother you like it bothers me, but I want you to picture this, okay? Say you get to work at 9:30 in the morning.
That would be phenomenal.
Okay.
I would love to work at 9:30 in the morning.
And say, at this point, you've already gotten 3 text messages about what you suck at and what you need to fix. At the same time,
Okay.
they let you know that there's a contest going on and that you should be winning it because you are, based on experience, the best. But you suck at A, B, and C.
Okay.
Okay? Your quota is at, I don't know, we'll say 100.
Okay.
The same month last year, the quota was 100.
Okay.
Last year, they hit 50.
That's fine.
They still want 100, and they need it done, and they need it done now.
Absolutely. And when I tell my drug dealer, which is exactly what you're referring to as a drug dealer, I mean, I look at it from the perspective of all these people care about is the bottom line, the bottom number. Whatever that number, I don't give a fuck what it is. It's you need to hit 100. Oh, 100 what? Doesn't matter. It's 100. All right. Well, I hit 80 this month. And you know what? Look at the economy. Is the economy at 8? Well, I don't care. You need 800. Well, fuck you. Ain't hitting
Well,
it.
that's the problem. Is they don't look at it as a reasonable person. They look at it like, I need my fix.
I get it. And I'm not knocking what you're saying, but I never put any stock into what other people say, whether I'm good, bad, or otherwise at.
I wish I was like that.
You know why? Because I know my trade, and I know that I'm good at it.
Yeah.
I've watched it. I've told you already. I think you're very good at what you do. But if you take what other people say to heart every single time, it's going to dissuade you and make you feel like shit every time. How is that going to make anybody grow and be better at what they do?
Okay, so how you're thinking about it is like a reasonable adult.
No, I'm thinking about it as a person. Okay, so I am thirsty. Okay? I'm going to give you an example. I'm thirsty. You're trying to sell me a cup of water. You approach me and say, this is $1 for this cup of water. I have $2 on hand.
Mhm.
Okay? You say, it's $1. I'm the only one here. You either drink it or you're going to die. It's $1. And I turn around, and lo and behold, somebody else is standing there. And I go, hey, man, you thirsty? Let me give you this sip real quick. Here, take a sip of this. All right, man, I'm sorry, but this is $2. But hey, at least you sustain yourself. Maybe you can make it to the next spot. Maybe you can do it. And he goes, but, for $2, I know you're going to make it. You'll be good to go. I'm going to look at you and go fuck yourself, and I'm going to take the $2, and I'm going to give it to the next guy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get I know, Jesus, I'm coming.
Jeez.
Fuck
Christ.
me.
Why did that bang come out of nowhere?
My point is that as a consumer, as a human being, I will not take anything anybody says about me, about my person, about you have to do this to heart. I won't do it. I'll laugh in their face and I'll tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
You know why? Because bottom line, if you treat me with respect and you tell me exactly how it is, instead of being the cocksucker, instead of being, well, you didn't make your quota this week, you sucked, you fuck you, I won't make my quota, and I'll get out of that line of work. See, I think for you, because, and again, this is me looking at you, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. You are huge into the quick fix side of it. I'm not trying to say that it's gambling, drugs, whatever the case is. It's I'm not saying drugs at all, but you as a person, you like the fix. You like okay, I got it going. I'm getting it, and then it's done. And then you move on to the next one, and it's a quick fix. I'm gonna sell this person. I'm gonna get this guy to do this thing, and blah 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 blah. If
No.
I'm saying it wrong, please. I mean,
So I understand a little bit, but it's not for me. It's never been a quick fix. My thing is I like approval. I like when people sit back and they look at it and go, holy shit, he's the best.
yeah, but you're in a field that you're never gonna get that.
Yeah, but I have.
You're not gonna get that on a constant basis.
That's the problem. So I'm starting to open up a little more.
Oh, is that because of me?
Yeah, because
Oh, wow.
Because, for instance, yesterday, now as I said, we know I sell phones.
Yeah.
I sold a 6-line business account. That's a big deal.
Businesses alone. I
Yeah.
mean, it's always 1.5 times the amount of a regular person.
I did 8 phones in total. Sold protection on all of them. I was by myself. My employee wasn't there.
Yep.
And my goal for the day was 3.
Okay.
All right, phenomenal. And they said, Nathan, you closed a 6-line business deal. Tell us your ways. How did you do it? How did you work these people in? And I thought about it.
I bought pizza.
I thought about it because they want a reason. They want to know that I went deep down and I
that
made
would
phone
drive
calls.
me fucking nuts.
And I made phone calls all day. And I said, this is what I put in the chat. I said, they walked in the door and said, I'd like to open a business account.
Yeah.
And that pissed them off so much.
Jesus Christ.
Because they want to know that it wasn't as simple as somebody coming in.
But that's all it is.
That's the problem. In the sales world, people think that you can do outside things. You can cold call and you can market and all that.
You spend way too much more. Okay, so let me give you an example. Somebody in my family used to sell insurance many moons ago. Big insurance person, loved it. And he would go property to property, huge condo communities, and he would tag the doors. Tag. And out of all of those people, maybe 2% would call back and get the sale. Spend days and days and days and days tagging doors to get 2% sales. And I go, I'm looking at it, I'm going, you're wasting more time and effort to get 2%. And the remark back to me was, well, it's 2% more than I would have had.
Of course it is. That's the sales 101.
But here's the deal. When you look at it from the bottom line, and I say this before, I've said it before, like gambling, and I'll go back to the gambling because it's the perfect example to these scenarios. All you ever hear is, I got 2%. I got $25. I got $50. I got $80. I just won $180,000. How much money did you put into it?
To get that 180.
How much did you spend prior to? And that's the difference between me and everybody else. And there's a lot of people in our family that love to gamble. And they don't want to hear, well, how much did you spend? All they care about is, I won $25. Yeah, but you spent, from the last time you won something, you spent $650. You're still down $625.
Yep.
But they don't look at it from that perspective.
No.
Gambling and commercial properties like what you have as well, what you do, selling stuff,
Yep.
is exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same mindset, which I don't fathom, I don't like, I've never got into. I look at it from the bottom line is, I'll put my 8 hours in, my 10 hours, my 12 hours, whatever it is that you work, and I'm going to get a flat paycheck, whatever that is. If I do overtime, you're going to give me overtime, and that's all there is to it. I'm going to ask you, in my world, I'm going to ask you, how did I fuck up? And they go, you didn't fuck up. Oh, cool. Let me know when I fuck up. And if I fuck up, let me know, please. And say, hey, stupid, you fucked up. Oh, how did I fuck up? Well, you did this. Absolutely. You're right, I did. And I move along. That's the other thing that a lot of these people don't realize.
Well, that's if you look at my line of work and your line of work,
Oh, yeah.
the turnaround is completely different. We
It's-
go through people every 4 to 6 months.
The problem is that, and that's the problem. See, when you go to a property where people are selling large volumes of products, they don't treat the staff appropriately. They don't do it. They don't.
No,
they don't.
It's kind of like,
There's no longevity.
yeah, they treat you like cattle. And,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm not trying to say it like they beat me, but what they do is they get the most out of that item.
And then they
And
sell
then
you.
if you can't do it anymore, or you can't maximize that anymore, well, there's the door. That's it. And that's the point where I'm at, and it takes a while for me to get there, because I'm a pretty upbeat person. I'm not trying to be a negative person.
You listen, you negative Nancy.
And
No.
I'm at the point where I'm going home now, and my girlfriend's like, you all right? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't.
yeah.
I'm tired.
You hate the job. kind of thing.
I'm hating the industry.
Well, again, but the industry is, and I've said this before to you on here, the industry is a young man's game.
I'm 16 years in sales.
But my point, it's not sales that you're working. You're working in a cell phone world, which is not just sales. It's a telecommunication field that has so many subgenres
Sure.
that you can get into. It's not a buyer's market. It's not a seller's market anymore. It's a buyer's market.
But my point is, with 16 years in sales, regardless of the product,
Yeah, but you're looking at it from the wrong perspective. They only see the product. I don't care if you're doing it for 48 years. If you're not doing as well as you would in this particular genre, then move along.
well, what I'm saying is, let me rephrase.
All right.
16 years within sales, 4-time president club winner, okay, in 3 different companies. With that being said, though, I'm burnt out in the grind, the goal-oriented grind.
I got you.
That's where I'm at. I'm at that point where I'm like, give me a job to do, I'll do it, give me a pay.
So you're
That-
literally just you're mechanically just doing whatever the fuck you're doing, and that's all there is to it.
That's what I'm at. I'm mentally where I want to be at, because it's getting me to the point where, as I said, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. I have way more anxiety than I ever had in my life.
So maybe a $20,000, $40,000 pay cut.
It's getting to that point where I'm
good deal.
If you
You can recoup that money. I promise you.
I'll find a way.
It'll take a year, 2, maybe even 3, but you'll get back to where you were. The point is you remove yourself from that position. We started with anxiety, and we're talking about anyway. Back to it. So because you were crazy anxious, working all the time, it's becoming a chore to even go to work at this point. I'm gathering, right?
Yeah, it's a chore to do a lot of things. Like, for instance, as you know, my girlfriend, she likes to go to different types of restaurants, different styles.
Oh, I got you. Like Italian or Chinese or whatever the case is.
And me, I get nervous about that. I get nervous about something new. I get nervous about going downtown to Gotham City, little Providence.
See, okay, here's the thing that since Nathan and I have started hanging out, I will tell you flat out, Nathan is a very hard person to convince to do something. He honestly, he gets set in his ways. And he does what he does, and that's all there is to it. And I mean, he's been like that since I've known him. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with it. There are a lot of people in the world that way. But when you start to have relationships and you want to make a longevity thing, you have to kind of give and take.
Yes.
And it happens more so when you first get with a person. Because you want to be that person in their lives and this, that, and the other thing. You want to be, so you're going to try more things. And I'm gathering that you're finding some of this stuff very interesting and good to go.
Well, yes, because my girlfriend will bring it up, something, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like even the Blue Man Group.
Come on, what's wrong with the Blue Man Group?
But when I went to Blue Man Group, you knew I wanted to go.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm telling you, when I got in and even sat in my chair and was front row and knew, dude, I was like this.
Really?
I had to pop a pill to be okay.
Dude, have you, and I'm not busting your balls, have you seen somebody about that level? I mean, that's literally a level where you are unable to perform normal daily routines. I mean, without having to pop some kind of medication.
Well, see, here's the thing. I only take medication when I'm in a situation like Blue Man Group or going on a plane or going to a concert or something out there. And the reason why is because I've managed to calm myself to know I just don't go to those things. That's why I avoid taking the medication. I don't do those things.
But I mean, you're literally removing something out of your life that could potentially be a lifelong fun thing to do. It's something to relieve the stress. You've literally removed the things that remove stress out of your life to maintain stress.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that my girlfriend, she started to implement.
Oh, boy. You got a teacher with you.
Implement
great.
certain things into my life to make it easier for me not to have anxiety. Like, say we're going somewhere that I know I'm going to get anxious.
All right.
On the way there, she will go on like my Spotify and we'll start playing music, and she'll have me really belting out singing, because when I do that,
you get your mind off.
I'm completely not concerned with what we're doing.
You see, and again, I don't think is something that is a part. I think it's a learned trait, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's something that, I'm not under any delusion. I love your mother to death, but your family life, that's a learned thing. Your father's super anxious. It's a learned thing. You know what I mean? I really, and like on my end, my family is crazy. You know that.
Yeah.
And look at me.
Well, for me, for growing up in my family, and I don't know if my sister would ever agree to this, but my mother and father, as wonderful as they were to me, they were like, I remember when I was kids, when I had friends that were taking pills for anxiety.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, They have anxiety. They have bad anxiety. Well, then you know how I deal with anxiety. I learn to deal with it.
Yeah,
That's the old school mentality.
Well, let me give you a life lesson on me. And this is what happened to me. As a young child, I was insanely anxious. I mean, to the point where I wouldn't leave my room level of anxious.
So well, yeah, I don't blame you for that. Your upbringing would make anybody scared.
So, you know, I did what I could do, but I got to the point where they started medicating me, very heavily medicating me. I was taking Ritalin, things along those lines. And I can remember we were living in Florida, coming back, and not wanting to leave particular areas, and it was very hard for me to maintain a lifestyle that was coherent for a young child. And I ended up honestly in a lot of different places, different schools that nobody wanted you to go to. I used to have to go to all kinds of different types of testings and things like that. At the time, I hearing issues and paying attention issues and.
Well, weren't you dyslexic as a child?
I'm a little bit of everything, frankly. I mean,
Yeah.
if you can name something negative, I probably had
Hey,
it.
don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking you because of the man you
No,
became today.
no,
You've
no.
Obviously,
But here's what happened to me. So I can distinctly remember we moved back from Florida, and you know there was a lot of anxiety because my mother and my father were fighting, and he was leaving, and you know my mother lost her fucking mind, and then during all of this being on Ritalin, I remember the Ritalin switching. So what tends to happen to some people at a particular age, Ritalin doesn't calm you down; it actually speeds you up.
oh
And
boy,
I was a fucking monster.
I bet you it happens when you start to go through puberty full.
I couldn't even begin to tell you. I don't know. I just remember that I just couldn't focus anymore. So I removed myself from, I say I removed myself. I was removed from the Ritalin. And I wasn't on any more medication. And as you said, learn to deal with it was the way that they were dealing with it. So I found, and this is going to relate to the anxiety side of it. At one point in my life, this is what I do. I said, what's the worst case scenario? For me, this works out quite well. And my wife looks at me and she tells me to shut the fuck up. It's not how she deals with it. So for me with anxiety is what's the worst that'll happen? And at the time, I was hoping that, you know, if death was the worst that happened, I was okay with it. You know, because life happens. What are you going to do? So I would do that. Every situation I was uncomfortable with, every situation, and I would put myself in that place. I completely would go, what's the worst that would happen? And then I realized that I was 3 times the size of everybody in my class because, you know, I got held back once and what have you. And I realized that all these people that I thought were picking on me and this, that, and the other thing, which added to my anxiety, I would just kick the shit out of them, and I became a real asshole. And my anxiety got switched off. I switched it off entirely because I just didn't care enough about anything or myself to really give a fuck. And I mean that's the lifestyle that I've lived pretty much my whole life. And when I met my wife, it was the first time that I started to turn my feelings back on. And honestly,
so weird.
No, it's not.
No,
not.
it's weird to me because, and I was discussing this with my family. You are so misunderstood.
It's not that I'm misunderstood.
Oh,
I don't give
bullshit.
anybody a chance to understand me.
If somebody saw you,
Yeah.
okay, on the street, they probably think you are the biggest asshole.
And that's what I want.
I know. But if they actually knew you, you'd give your last dollar to them.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, if I could help them, I would. But I don't give people enough of a chance to know me or like me enough to. I don't want to deal with people. My way of dealing with anxiety and what have you is just to live my life, be happy with my family, the friends that I do have, and be cool with whoever I can be cool with. I'm never going to sit there and like the job that you do. I couldn't do that job because that first person that came in, that was a complete dickhead to me. I tell him to go fuck himself and get the fuck out.
Well, that's the thing. It's like my father always says, he'll be tired in the afternoon. I'll come in and I'll be tired, and he'll be like, "Why are you tired? You didn't do anything physical." And it's like, my job is so mentally fucked.
Well, and you say that, but I bust my wife's balls about this. I'm truly busting her balls because honestly, the work that she does with being a nurse, sick kids and what have you, the biggest headache that she has a lot of the time is related to the parents, because these parents are just fucking special needs. It's crazy, you know. And she comes home, she's beat, she's dead, she's, you know, I can't fucking deal with it. I can't deal with it. It's like, well, what the fuck is your problem? You know, you didn't just go out at 3 a.m. and stuck in a snowstorm with, and you know, I'm being an asshole, obviously, but the day-to-day grind for somebody who has the mental side of the world is a lot harder, and the anxiety, and that's where the disconnect comes from, because I shut my anxiety off. I shut everything off.
Yeah. I mean, when I have people who come in and they'll go, I want to get a new phone. And I'm like, "Okay. What's your phone number?" I don't know it. What? Or I'll go, what's the last 4 of your social? I don't know it.
Well, I can't help you. Have a good day.
And I've literally said to them, I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, I have to say it like that because, like, how I explained it to my father, if this is the future, we're fucked.
Yeah, the problem is the people you're talking to are older than you are, more than likely.
They're 40 years old.
See, you know, I'm finding it more and more so lately that these people are, you know, I like to refer to it as the PC crowd. Oh, you like that? That was pretty good.
Perfect timing.
These fucking people expect them to be handed the perfect life and fuck everybody else. It happens so much more often now. You know, just looking at it, all these people are entitled. Everybody's entitled. It doesn't really matter what the fuck they say or do. They're all entitled.
I feel the entitlement, though, is for the younger generation.
No, I'm finding it with the older generation as well.
For me, the older generation, what I don't like is, are you serious? Are you kidding me? This phone is that much money? Why is it that much money? But yet they live in the ocean. You know what I'm saying? They live in a $2.4 million house, and they're complaining about a $700 phone.
That's the reason why. They don't want to spend that much money because they live in a $2.4 million
Then you know
house.
what? Drop your $2.4 million house, get $1 million home, and go to hell.
Yeah, But what you're not understanding is, Nathan, is that you come from a generation that has always had cell phones. Yeah, whether it be or some form of a device that you can be in contact without being at a landline.
Yes.
Okay, I actually come from a generation not too far apart. I mean, we're all of 8 years apart.
But it was a huge difference.
And
There's a gap.
I wasn't. I didn't get my first beeper of all things till I was 15,
Yeah.
and that's when they first started coming out. See, and that's where the issue about the technical side of life. Most of these people, at least for where I'm coming from, I was almost an adult. I was actually 4 years removed from my first son when I got my first beeper. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then cell phones exponentially got, you know, bigger and what have you. And, you know, it got to the point where I think I was 21 years old when I got my first cell phone.
Okay.
And it wasn't that I didn't get it. They weren't available. There was nothing there under the cost of like $10, $15 fucking $1,000 at a clip that you could, you know what I mean? You know, you had to remember phone numbers until I was in my double digits.
So as you can see, folks, at this point, there's a lot of stuff that causes anxiety.
Yes. And here's the deal. I would never discount anybody with anxiety, but I would tell you, if you are anxious, to fix it. Do something that you can do to quell the anxiousness. That my wife, what she does, and I have it up on a computer screen, is she actually has online coloring that she does, and it's a particular kind of thing where you do a lot of stuff in like number forms. So you can't see it on here, but every single one of these is labeled with a particular number, and the number corresponds to a color.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Paint by number.
And it's very soothing to
color by
her,
number, color by
or whatever the case is. Now, the other stuff that I've seen is like different dots on the screen. For some reason, you would then think of like a Connect 4, or you would move the dots to connect the colors.
Okay.
And you know, that kind of thing. There's a lot to do with colors for some reason. If you have a lot of colors in your life.
Well, they when I was in high school, they did that. They painted each wing of the school a different color, and it was meant that these colors were going to be more soothing for what you were learning at that point in time.
I actually have my wife down here with me. I'm going to ask her a quick question. I want her to answer it. When you feel anxious, okay, do me a favor. Try to explain to me how you feel. Like, do you feel like useless? Do you feel like you can't?
She
handle
probably feels
life?
anxious now.
Yeah. So I'm going to hand her my mic.
I just feel like I want to jump out of my skin, and like I just don't want to be talked to. I don't want.
You just want to be in a dark room by yourself, away from everybody.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you have more anxious feelings towards like going to work, or more towards like trying to eat something? Do you get anxious when you go to like a new restaurant and stuff like that, or?
Yeah.
Let me ask you: do you get I'm going to say it from my point of view. Do you get anxiety from anything that you don't have complete control on?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And how do you deal with it?
Well, for example, like when we go out to eat, I sit so I can see the door. I don't want my back to the door.
I when I go to a restaurant, if it's a booth, I have to sit on the outside, so I can leave the table without
I can
anybody.
sit on the inside, but I have to be able to see what's going on in the restaurant. I can't have my back.
And you need to know where the bathroom is. You need to know where
Yes.
the yes.
Exactly.
God, we're weird.
All right, so no, you're not weird at all, because this is
Kids are the same. They always need to know where the bathroom is.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the other question. Now, you know as well as I do, I don't get anxious all that much, but when you get crazy anxious and I get in your face, so to speak, how do we deal with that? How do we do that? What do you do? When you have somebody who's not anxious trying to figure you out? How do you deal with it as a person?
Well, we've got to the point anxious, and I know that I'm bothered. I go in at the door, and usually that's to leave me be.
Yeah, because I had to deal with that with my father. He would, whenever I was feeling anxious, that's the time where my father's like, hey, I need to talk to you. Hey, what's wrong? And it's like, you don't want anybody to
that
look at you.
bothers you more. It makes
Yeah.
you more anxious.
Even my girlfriend has gotten to the point where she knows she doesn't even want to breathe around me, when I'm anxious, because at that point, mentally, I'm shut down. I'm checked out. So I'm just going to be an asshole because I can't be bothered by anybody.
How do you?
I have a question for you. Can you feel yourself changing sometimes and you can't stop it?
Yes. It's how I explain it to people is picture you have a blanket in your hands and you're slowly putting the blanket up over you. That's how it's coming on.
But you can't stop it. Like
I
you
can't
feel
stop
that-
it.
Like sometimes I can feel myself getting in a bitchy mood and I don't know why.
Yes.
And I totally will take it out on him because he's the one that's there.
Now, do you have any physical attributes that happen? Like me, when I do that, I get red in the face.
My heart races.
Heart races, okay. Do you
And-
get nauseous or anything like that?
No, I just get aggravated.
1 second, I'm getting her all set here. Go ahead,
It's
sit.
fine.
I want you to
No,
sit for a minute.
I just get aggravated and everything bothers me. Like sometimes it can be even the point like socks will bother you.
Okay. So for me, I get it whether it's customers, whether it's family. Restaurants is a big thing. I get it around. Matter of fact, true story. I don't know what happened. There we go. True story is whenever I was seeing our side of the family, like cookouts.
Oh, that's me too.
Cookouts and stuff like that, I would be mentally like, yay, I'm going to get to see the family. But inside, I'd be so scared because either I thought somebody was going to make fun of me, somebody was going to throw something at
But
me.
we all
jabs.
make fun of you. It's fine.
It's different, though. There's a difference with each individual member. And I thought, like, there was a lot of times because of how much my childhood was different that nobody would accept me. And every single time I'd walk in there, if you notice, go think back of any event, I barely ate. I would barely eat anything.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think that it's a learned trait or something that happens in a person just
Like a
because they're
genetic
anxious?
thing, or
It's genetic because I don't feel it. I don't change it. Like it is what it is.
Okay, so
Like
all right, so
can
I was
feel
wrong.
it. And I think our kids are the same exact way. The ones that the two that have anxiety. Like our son has physical attributes. Like our youngest, he gets like he's gonna throw up
Yeah,
the time.
that's how
what
I
he
get.
says. He feels like he's gonna vomit.
So I get like that. That's why I have problems with certain restaurants. I will go with somebody I trust before. If I know, like for instance, we wanted to take my father for his birthday to Ichi Go Ichi, but before we went, I went the week prior with my girlfriend, just us, because I could trust her.
Really?
Yep, I had to see that. And when we went to do the hibachi, I asked if we could do it away from everybody.
So let me ask you a question. Am I a person that you trust to take to a restaurant?
Yes, but I would never get. You got to understand that last time we did this, we went to Dunkin', and you drove. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Internally, I was screaming, and you weren't a bad driver. You were perfectly fine, but I was not mentally okay with it.
You're crazy.
You think that, but it's because I'm not in control of the situation.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. In terms of driving, I don't really allow anybody to drive with me. I don't like other people driving. It's just not me.
No, I know, and you've gotten behind the wheel with me, and I could tell that it bothered you.
Because you drive like shit.
I think that part of it is he drives all the time, so that's why he's used to it.
And that's how it is for me. My girlfriend, I could tell you right now, since I've dated her, she has never gotten behind the wheel with me. And I'm a little nervous because April 28th, I'm having stuff done on my car.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm dropping my car off, and she's picking me up.
You should really allow her to drive
I was gonna
occasionally.
say, will she let you drive?
She's letting me drive her car because she knows I'm not going to be okay.
Dude, you really do have a good lady there. Don't fuck up.
No, and she understands that's the half the battle when you have anxiety is finding somebody who's not going to try to fix you or try to work on you, but understanding where you have your difference than them. You have anxiety, and that sometimes you just need to cope with it.
Yeah, but see, that's where the issue is because I don't currently have anxiety. As I said, I shut myself off until I met her.
But your wife does, and like she just said.
I've, on more than one occasion, started fights without realizing it because I said, well, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And my wife is super cool in that aspect because she understands that I don't understand.
But now you've gotten, at this point, if you see her shut the door, go in her room, and shit, she's probably got something. I should just back off for a few.
Now, generally, she tells me that I'm in a mood, leave me alone, and that's how it goes.
That's how I've gotten, but sometimes him actually coming in and him telling me that he knows that sometimes he can counteract it.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Now, I used to get anxiety to the point where the only way it was fixing, this is going to sound really corny, because I would start to get panic attacks. And my mother she would actually hold me, and I'd have to feel her breaths for me to mimic her breathing to calm me down.
Isn't there, and I'm not saying that you have this. Isn't that movie about that woman who had the cow thing that she would, what's that called?
The cow thing.
Oh, well, okay, so a woman had some kind of mental disorder, and she needed something to squeeze her.
I know what you're talking about.
We actually use that at work. We papoose the kids.
Okay.
Some kids that are young, we can papoose them because sometimes that holding them.
But what is that
what
called?
works.
Coddling?
No. The woman had some kind of disorder where, I mean, she looked okay, but she needed to be squeezed to get out of whatever the movie
I don't know.
was.
Sometimes it's just a distraction or something. But he even one year he researched it because he found out I slept better with his arm over me, or and I would put blankets and pillows on me. He got me a weighted blanket, best thing he could have ever done.
Really?
I've actually upgraded and I've got a slightly larger blanket. I've also gained weight, but I've got a larger blanket and I sleep with a weighted blanket on.
She looks better with the weight, by the way.
Still put pillows on top of me and blankets on top of me.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand, but I still need that weight because that weight just makes me feel secure.
Yet when I smother her face, she gets all upset.
So that was one of the reasons why I agreed to do the podcast originally, was because when I had anxiety, anytime I had anxiety, I could call my mother and she could communicate me in a way that it would calm me down. And I don't have that. And that's why a mixture of being able to relax and let myself go on this. And I gotta say, I never thought I'd find it, but that's one thing with Amber is she's found a way that whether I'm furious, pissed off, whether I'm having anxiety attacks, she's found a way to calm it down. I don't know why.
That's what he does.
Yeah, which is
Sometimes
crazy.
He senses that, like, with all the stuff that's going on with my mom, he senses that I just need time alone. He'll just bring me to, like, somewhere, like a little restaurant, just the two of us, and that's just enough, or just a ride.
Yeah,
And that's just enough to get me, even though if I don't want to go out, he kind of, like, pushes me to go out, and then afterward it makes me feel better.
yeah. That's the thing is I've had to learn that, and we'll say exes in general, but specifically my current. She knows there's a limitation with what I'm willing to do outside of my comfort zone. And she knows there's a force, you can force so much, and then there's a line. And sometimes when she gets to that line, she knows, okay, I'm not going to flip it.
Same thing with him.
I tell you what, why don't we end this right now, and I'm going to try to talk her into doing the next one with us, and we'll continue this podcast. I think this is cool, and we can try the new mics. I think she'll enjoy it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end this real quick. We'll be, you'll just have to tune in again.
Yeah.
All right, love you all. Bye.
Toodles.
Hey, folks, that was the show. Now here's the routine. Nate?
You can reach us over at fatguysquared@gmail.com. You can watch us on YouTube and Twitch. Hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. And, of course, like and subscribe to us on podbean.com, iTunes, and Android.
Take it easy.